listening to the 23 Personnel Podcast, a Texas Tech athletics podcast where food and sports clash at the goal line. Here are your hosts, Spencer and Michael.
Knew that didn't sound right.
You're listening to the 23 Personnel Podcast, a Texas Tech athletics podcast where food and sports clash at the goal line. Here are your hosts, Spencer Spencer and Michael.
All right, what is up, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of the 23 Personnel Podcast. I am your host, Spencer, joined by Michael. Michael, what's up, man?
I'm kind of speechless. I did not expect this to happen. I did issue my vote of confidence on Monday when we recorded, after seeing McGuire and DeRuyter and Kitley's press conference on Monday. I just felt like, okay, these guys have won me back. I'm back in, but I still wasn't in enough to pick Texas Tech to win this game. How wrong I was, and how great it feels. How are you?
Well, see, that was a very well played vote of confidence, because had you lost, you get the vote of confidence anyways from the head man Kirby Hoke. Like, no, this is the right crew. We're going the right direction. These are the guys we want to have. But plays out very nicely with the win. I am fighting every urge to be negative about this win. Okay. Because you know what? You took down a 11th ranked team on the road in the face of some adversity. You had lost a couple of games. You had lost 2 games you thought you probably should have won. Definitely one you should have won in last week versus TCU. You were a 2 touchdown underdog. You came out strong, fast. You drove down the field on the opening drive, scored a touchdown, followed that up with more points. And in the end, you found a way to win. And we don't complain. We don't look wins in the mouth and complain about it, or whatever the saying is. I don't know. We don't complain about wins. So you took down an previously undefeated team. You kept them from getting to 8-0 in their program history ever, at least for one more year. So congrats. Threw a little wrinkle into the Big 12 title race. Not that you're in it, but oh, hello. But that they now have a blemish on their record. So
who knows? There's a lot left to shake out. I don't want to be overly positive and take too much into this, but yeah, Kansas State lost tonight to Houston, and the only winless Big 12 team was Colorado has 1 loss, and that Tech plays Colorado this week. So Tech still has some fighter's chance of working their way in there. I do believe they would just absolutely have to win out, and then also a lot of other things would have to work in their favor. But who's to say that it won't happen? If Houston can take down Kansas State, and Texas Tech can walk into Ames and help Joey McGuire go 2-5 in ranked road games. He was 1-5 coming into this. Red Raiders were 3-6 period against ranked opponents, now 4-6. So this was a very big win for McGuire. You could tell, back to my vote of confidence thing, that you could tell how much it meant to him after the end of the game. If you got the chance to see his post-game interview on the sideline, that's who he is. He wears his heart on his sleeve. That's not manufactured. That's not something for the cameras. That's not any of that stuff. That's just our ball coach, and that's how strongly he feels. I wanted to bring one more thing up before you move on. I feel like I need to ask, where'd the beard go, Spencer? Spencer's rocking just full mustache, and we have completely ignored it this first 5 or 10 minutes.
I mean, I wasn't going to bring it up.
It's
something I do.
The World Series, you've been watching a lot of the baseball. See that wrapped up, and you just felt like, man, a lot of good stashes up in L.A. and in New York. I've got to take advantage.
No, I've full transitioned into a firefighter role now.
There you go.
Fire rescue, EMS. This is who I am now. No, it's just something I've done several times about this time, November. I had set it up. I had shaved my beard real short, probably the past couple weeks, and just left the mustache long. And so then when I shaved it like with a razor, it was just wasn't much difference. The kid, like nobody even said anything. The kids didn't react. I was like, okay. Nobody at work said anything. I was like, you gotta mess with me. Anyways, yeah. So this
Well,
is
your
this to be the
podcast
look.
host noticed.
I'm sure you did. I appreciate that.
Yeah.
Yeah. So you won. It wasn't pretty. I think we all are. Let's start with the defense, Michael. I think your defense obviously played well enough to win. You held a team to 22 points. That's 2 touchdowns under their season average. That's fantastic. You did it on the road too. Their first touchdown of the game, the Iowa State scored, was 4 seconds left in the half. And they only had that hold on. Is that the drive they took over with the interception? Yes.
Yes.
They took
it
over.
was the second in a row that they took over from an
Right.
interception.
But 30 seconds left in the half. They take over with an interception at the 50. 4 plays, 50 yards, 26 seconds. They scored their first touchdown of the game. You gifted it to them. Their last touchdown came, their only other touchdown came in the fourth quarter with 4.5 minutes to go. You held them to 2 touchdowns on 13 drives. One of them, like I said, you gifted it to them at the end of a half. The other one, they had figured some stuff out. They were able to move the ball a little bit in the end of the third and fourth quarter, because the 2 drives leading up to that was a 10-play, 72-yard field goal. Next drive was a 7-play, 23-yard drive where they attempted a field goal and missed it horrendously.
Ooh, yeah.
And then the 5-play, 65-yard touchdown. And
even on that touchdown drive, that final one, sorry, it was they attempted a 2-point conversion. Defense stood up, took care of that. Would have been a huge game changer and yet another 1-point victory or 1-point game for Texas Tech in back-to-back weeks. And I don't know what Beck was thinking on that, because I thought his guy that was going right towards the pylon was open almost the entire route, and he just decided to throw it at his feet. Maybe I missed something. I only watched it once, but credit to the defense for, yes, they allowed the touchdown, but that 2-point conversion stop was huge.
Yeah, no, it was, because had they scored that, I mean, they would have been up 24. You would have had to kick an extra point there after your touchdown to just tie it. And then who knows what would have gone from there, or had you gone for 2 yourself to win it. I mean, that play was open. You had Jordan Brown open on the flat there to the right. It looked like Morton never looked right on your 2-point conversion attempt. Offensively, man, it felt like the scripted offense to start the game was fantastic. Once you got out of that, you struggled. I mean, you put up 27 total yards in the second quarter. There was greater than 15 minutes of game time between Taj Brooks carries, but like 3 drives.
There was over an entire quarter between scoring.
Yeah, you finished with negative rushing yards in the second quarter on 7 attempts. You were 4 of 12 passing. Like your offensive struggles in the second quarter, I think you probably would have expected, like, this is what you're going to expect to face against the Iowa State defense, or at least to start that way. But you had started fantastically. First quarter, you put up 10 points, 136 yards. You only ran the ball 6 times for 5.5 yards per carry. You were 9 of 10 through the air for 103 yards. You're 2 of 3 on third downs. You ran 16 plays, 8.5 yards per play. Second quarter, like I said, 0 points, 27 total yards. You were 1 of 5 on third down. You ran even more plays in the second quarter than you did in the first. 1.4 yards per play. 2 turnovers. You had 3 punts. Like everything, just it flipped on you.
Well, and Tech was lucky it wasn't 3 turnovers, because I believe that Morton threw a third interception, but it was called back from hands to the face, which
Yes, it
I
was.
wanted to point out quickly too. Iowa State, they were the least penalized team. We talked about this on Monday. The least penalized team in the Big 12. They had 23 penalties on the year. Tech came into this game with 60. And Iowa State actually ended up with, I think they had more penalties than Texas Tech tonight.
They had 8 penalties for 59 yards. Texas Tech had 10 for 84.
Right. So Iowa State, who was averaging a little over 3 penalties per game coming into this game, just about tripled what they normally do in their own stadium. So I saw some gnashing of teeth on the internet about the refs and whatnot from Cyclone fans, but take it from me, you will get zero sympathy from me. And I thought that every single replay when they showed it, except for maybe that block in the back, there was one block in the back that I thought was pretty soft, where a Tech's defender basically just was trying to make a tackle on a wide receiver's feet, basically, and happened to fall. Anyway, I didn't feel like that was egregious, but also didn't feel like Aiken should have gotten called for his pass interference. I think those were a wash, but everything else was just, it was cut and dried. I just didn't see any issue with it. So
there was there was a defensive pass interference, I think against Horn, that I felt was pretty soft.
Yeah.
But like I was gonna say, to be fair, like I think both teams had complaints with the officiating. The reviews, I think, all went the way they should have. So it wasn't like when they reviewed something, it was like egregiously like that was bad and they still got it wrong. I think they were all close, and it's like there's nothing really to see to overturn it. Or if they did overturn it, it was like, well, that was the right call. So yeah, I was frustrated in the game with some of the officiating, but I think some of that had to do with like I was frustrated that Texas Tech was being penalized more than that shouldn't have been a penalty.
Yeah.
The two I pointed out, I think were the ones I was most. The Aiken one that called back a touchdown, that was ridiculous. He didn't push off. Their hands, like they were doing what they do, and then the defender fell.
Yes.
Like there was no extension of the arms or whatever. And then I don't think the one they called on Horn was a great pass interference. It wasn't Horn. It was Sanford, Jordan Sanford. He was wearing number 7. He turned around like they bumped and like there was some contact, but like everything you tell a defender to do, like you can do that if you're making a play in the ball, if you're turning around to find it, like he did that. So, either way, it wasn't great for either team. Obviously you had a lot of procedural penalties. It seemed like you couldn't get out of your own way. Lots of false starts. You had a false start coming out of a timeout. You had a delay of game, which could have been critical. It was critical. It's delay a game coming out of a timeout where you have a 4th and 1.
Yeah.
And you've got Conyers lined up as your Wildcat quarterback. And he's either not paying attention or whatever happens to the play clock.
I think Perry and McGuire were both trying to call a timeout at that point, but for some reason they weren't able to get it done, or the refs didn't hear it, or whatever happened. But
yeah, you saw
the case.
Yeah, you saw the angle on the sideline. It was showing Joey yelling at the official on like not the guy on the sideline, but the referee's like, I tried to call
a
an effing
timeout.
timeout.
Yeah. I could read it too. Yeah.
Um, and that puts you back. And I don't think you converted that.
I'm pretty sure.
Um,
No, I think that was when Morton went back in and kind of did some razzle dazzle, and it didn't work out well.
yeah. Um, there like stretches, like I said, offensively where play calling just didn't make sense. You got fancy when you should have just been handing the ball off. Um, Morton, I don't know like if his arm is bothering him or his shoulder is bothering him. Like he had
Kelly.
2 or 3 deep shots. One he missed
Mm.
way over, one he missed way under.
Mhm.
That pass to Jordan Brown, like it worked out that he fell at the 1, but like honestly, like you would probably prefer if he just airs that out and he just walks into the end zone instead of like falling down to catch it. Um, not gonna complain. Like I said, that sequence worked out better for you. That you took more time off the clock. I think you ran 2 more plays after that. Um, including the game winning touchdown where it was a direct snap to Taj Brooks and he ran behind one hell of a block from Jalen Conyers. Good gravy. That was
Yeah.
just a beautiful thing to watch. Um, it felt like you won in spite of a couple of things. And maybe like I, I don't have the notes in front of me. I don't have like specifics in front of me. I remember thinking several times how frustrating it was to feel like you're going to lose this based on your offensive play calling, your refusal to do what was working or what should be working, relying on your key players, and then your just absolute mismanagement of the game. Um, you overcame all of that. So now it's like, okay, we'll take those notes and we'll work on them. We'll practice them. We'll do whatever we want to do because it's a heck of a lot easier to pull up that tape when you get a win versus a loss. So
Yeah. So Texas Tech. I mean, I'm with you. I was preparing myself for disappointment all week, and then after that field goal was missed, where I don't know what that kicker was thinking. I guess maybe he
the
thought he
wind
was
was
lined up on the
swirling.
sideline. Uh, but
The
anyway,
opposite sideline.
yeah. I've sometimes you kick from the sidelines, right? Anyway, I think Tech was getting the ball with after that, had 5:17 left, and went 3 and out, got 0 yards in 3 plays, turned the ball back over in 46 seconds, and gave it right back to him with 4:31 left in the game. And yes, Tech was still winning at that point, but I thought, oh, this might be it. This might. I don't know how many times I thought that this game, but that was the most recent time. And then sure enough, they went down there, scored a touchdown, but weren't able to get the 2 point conversion. But it was just one of those games where you could point to 10 different things, and if it went a different way, a different team wins, possibly. Just mind blowing stuff in the Big 12 to go on the road to an undefeated opponent that I knew was going to be tough. I didn't think they were invincible. I didn't think they were frauds or anything like that. I wasn't, but I definitely just thought, this defense will shut this offense down, and there won't be much of a chance. And that the defense did that for, once they regrouped after going down 10-0, or maybe not 10-0, but putting 10 on the board very quick.
Yeah.
And also, despite that, I think we would have both liked to see Taj get a few more carries. He still averaged 4.9 yards per carry tonight, 25 attempts for 122 yards. And that 122 yards puts him firmly in number 2 in the all-time Texas Tech rushing leaders. So he usurped James Gray today and is 37 yards away from garnering that number 1 spot from one Mr. Byron Hanspard. So hopefully he'll be able to do that in a packed Jones AT&T Stadium, 3 o'clock ish. Maybe not at 3 o'clock. That's when the game starts. Maybe he'll be able to do that at 3:45. Get those 36 yards.
Yeah. Speaking of Brooks and just that last drive in general, Brooks put up 35 rushing yards in that last drive, including
his first drive and his last drive were just phenomenal.
Yeah. Last drive, you took over the ball with 2 minutes, 6 seconds. First play, false start. So you're back first and 15. First and 15, Taj Brooks runs for 16 yards. You hit the 2-minute timeout. Come back. Taj Brooks, rush for no gain. This is one that you had the next play, 2nd and 10. Oh my goodness, Josh Kelly wide open behind the defense. Brandon Morton overthrows him. Next play, 3rd and 10, false start. Caleb Rogers. Now it's 3rd and 15. Baron Morton scrambles for a gain of 8. Get to 4th and 7. Baron Morton pass up the middle for 8 yards. Holy smokes, did we have a down in distance and you got it +1. There were at least a couple of times that you had a 3rd and 5 and you were running routes short of the sticks. I still don't understand that, Michael. I don't understand it. This time it worked. 4th and 7, you pick up 8. 1st and 10 from the 49. This is your other deep pass down to Jordan Brown, broken up at the 2.
That was a very, I mean, okay, that's a bang bang play, but that was one that you could almost call, because I swear he was in Brown's chest before the ball showed up. But oh well, I wasn't going to get up in arms about it.
2nd and 10, Taj Brooks run for 14 yards. Then you get a 13-yard pass, a 8-yard completion, a 13-yard completion. That was to Jordan Brown to get you down to the 1 with 34 seconds. So you're there. 1st and goal from the 1, inside the 1. You get down, lined up, false start. Like, I know we wanted to take some time off, and it would have been okay had you not scored on the first play, but pushing your team back on a procedural pre-snap penalty was less than ideal.
Well, there was another time when it was another play where Conyers was in the backfield, right?
Mm-hmm. He goes up there, he goes to snap. And we saw this happen when Cam Brown came into the game against North Texas. They could not get the snap count off of a different quarterback.
Nope.
So that continues to be a thing. I don't know if it's the guys that are back there calling the cadence. They're just so used to Morton, or the guys that are back there just don't know what they're doing. But it seems like outside of Hammond, even though I think even there was a play last week with Hammond where it was iffy. If it's not Morton, the line is like, I don't know what we're doing. I don't know what the snap count. I don't know when we're snapping this ball. Backed up 5 yards, 2nd and goal, or 1st and goal. No, 1st and goal from the 5, incomplete pass to Tharp. That one was like bad news all over it. Like triple covered.
He lobbed that in there too. Like the one tight end target of the night, and it was just a lob. It made me so nervous.
Worse than the lob to Brown to get it to the 1. 2nd and 5, direct snap to Brooks, runs right, touchdown, 20 seconds to go. And that was all she wrote. Well, I mean, unless you want to do the defense, the next drive where they they had the laterals that went. They lost 24 yards. No, sorry. What they were on the 37. Ball is recovered. They
fumbled out of bounds
at the 9, so they lost 28 yards. But the first pass was downfield. and they just kept going back. And someone's like, why are they going back and not running forward? I was like, it's a good point. Because like as soon as that tight end caught the ball, like he pitched it. And it's like there wasn't a defender on the screen.
No, he had room to run, at least
He had room to
move
run. And I was like,
forward.
maybe the thought was like if they started pitching a little earlier, they would like draw the defense up and like try to crease him then. But no, didn't need that because they were passing around the backfield, kept going back, fumbled it. I don't know if we technically recovered it or if the ball just went out of bounds, but didn't matter. End of game. They lost yards. Texas Tech wins the game. That was a long to do about the last drive. And Taj Brooks having just another fantastic night. 25 carries, 122 yards, 4.9 yards per carry. We said going into it they were susceptible to the rush. I think we would have liked to see a little bit more consistent presence from Brooks in the play calling, but you had a fantastic defensive performance tonight to follow up what you saw last week. I mean, I know we're not previewing Colorado. Like it's gonna flip the other way. It's gonna feel completely demoralizing next week when you can't stop Shador Sanders and Travis Hunter. But maybe there's going to be enough stops in there to keep you in the game.
And those guys are really, really good.
They are. I'm not. That's why I'm saying it now.
Stomach that. Yeah, I'm not saying Higgins isn't good, but let's. I don't know. I'm preparing myself emotionally for a really solid offensive performance from the Buffaloes next week.
Yeah. But as of tonight, Texas Tech wins. 6-3 bowl eligible, which like I know that's like that's a focus and like a goal for this team. But it felt, I don't know, it felt weird and kind of cheap for everybody to be celebrating. Oh, we're bowl eligible. It's like we got much more to play for right now. Like, yeah, I celebrate getting bowl eligible at like game 11 or 12 of the season. I don't know. It just felt like
this is more of just a okay, check that off. Like when you're out running errands and you need to get gas, but you're not sure when you're going to have time to do it. So before the grocery store, after the car wash, whatever. Oh, I went and got
before
gas.
the downpour.
Yeah, during the downpour. Yeah, I got caught.
I did that
today too.
Definitely glad I had a truck with 4-wheel drive today. That was an adventure. Getting out and like it was the worst of the puddling. Anyways, yeah, 6-3 on the season through 9 games. You got 3 games left to rack up as many wins. Oklahoma State and West Virginia seem to be there for the taking, man. You can set your sights on 8 wins this season and not feel like you're being overly optimistic. 7, I think you would be okay with, but like you probably felt like you left something out on the table. If you end at 6, that's going to feel like you shouldn't have just won 6 games. If you win 9, hell yeah, brother. I'm not saying you shouldn't. I'm not saying you can't.
I mean, Oklahoma State had a pretty rough loss at home today. They had almost a 3-hour delay with hosting Arizona State.
Boo. And freaking who?
Yeah. Oh, I agree. Whatever.
6 in conference.
Arizona State had that same delay too, and didn't seem to bother them that much. So I'm with you. I think 2-1 in the next stretch should be expected at this point. I would not have said that 6 weeks ago, but I think 2-1 should be expected at this point. But any scenario is possible with this league. 3-0 is possible. 0-3 is possible. You just never know. But
let me ask you real quick, Michael.
2-1's where I would stand. What's up?
What's more possible? What's more probable? 3-0 or 0-3?
If you asked me that last week, I'd probably have a different answer. But tonight, I think 3-0 is more probable. As in,
well, more likely. I phrased
Yeah,
it
yeah,
wrong.
you know what I mean. Not like
Yeah.
99% chance versus 0%. More, I know what you mean.
Yeah, well,
More
that's because
likely.
I said it wrong when I asked you the question. What's more likely, 3-0 or 0-3? And I would agree with you, 3-0. That's going to take that's the probability of going 3-0 is, I think, awfully slim, especially with the matchup next weekend. I think after next week in the bye week, you've got a fairly good shot to go 2-0 to finish the season. And maybe I'm just feeling it from tonight, but I saw fight. I saw flashes from the defense that I didn't think were there. The offense still has some things that drives me absolutely up a wall. But you won the game.
Yeah, and
So
just real quick, hat tip to Josh Kelly, 8 receptions, 127 yards, 2 touchdowns, and I know that Jordan Brown only had 1 reception. He was only targeted twice, and one of them we talked about earlier. But very clutch,
mm-hmm.
very very big time to get your first catch of the game, right when Tech needed it the most, and that drive just alone, we question offensive calls. We can question them on that drive, but when you look at it, Texas Tech was able to execute a game-winning drive when they absolutely had their backs to the wall and they had absolutely no choice to kick a field goal, and they did it. So folks can and we're those folks can disagree with coaching calls. People can call for firings and whatnot, but when you do that, you have to admit that this Texas Tech offense, despite all their failings today, when they needed 6, they got it.
Yep.
And that won the ball game.
And your defense got enough stops. I mean, you forced 2 turnovers, but they were big. They at least held serve. No, because you also forced 3 fumbles. You only recovered 1 of them, so you actually forced 3 turnovers, 2 interceptions, and a fumble recovery. So you had your take 3, but you also had 2 interceptions of your own. Positive in the net turnover margin. Take that every day.
Yeah. 2
Anything
3 and
else?
outs, a turnover on downs, and a 4-drive play that resulted in a punt. So, yeah, I mean, just really good job by the defense. I think that's it for me. I mean, we'll probably dive into this a little bit more next week, but just
yeah.
the
drive chart for
very
Tech.
excited.
I'm excited. I really am. That drive chart for Tech, second quarter until you scored that touchdown, 5 minutes left to go in the third. I mean, it was punt, 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 interception, interception, punt, touchdown. But that touchdown drive, hold on, 12 plays, 98 yards. My guys, that was fantastic. All right. That'll do it for us in 23 Personnel Podcast. This has been your instant reaction to Texas Tech taking down Iowa State 23-22. Texas Tech moves to 6-3, 4-2 in Big 12 play. We will be back on Tuesday to preview the Colorado Buffaloes and to put a final wrap on this one. Also to recap the basketball game. So check us out then. For Michael and Spencer, catch you next time.
Thank you for listening to the 23 Personnel Podcast. Help us out by subscribing, rating the show, and leaving a review. Follow us on Twitter at 23 Personnel, Spencer at PuntSuck, and Michael at Michael_LBK. Be sure to catch the next episode. And until then, guns up and let the tortillas fly.
All righty, man.